Hello everyone, we are going to do 3 reading wrap-ups in this, not book talks or anything. I'm just going to tell you about some TBRs and what I was able to read for said TBRs, and 2 of them are readathons. So really quickly, I've never done a wrap-up for my September or any other month Catwalk TBR. So for September, I'm just going to remind you what prompts I got, and I'll tell you which ones out of all of the prompts I was able to complete, which is really not a lot. I read a whole bunch of different books. So the first prompt I got for my game was Roar, and this was to read a book with a predatory animal on the cover. My pick was Like Cats and Dogs by Kate McMurray. I did not read this one. And remember, there is no punishment for never completing a book, or never for completing a book, or for never finishing a TBR for me. Number 2 was April Fools. This is to read the book that is first in the series. My selection was Murder at Beacon Bake Shop. I did not read this one. This one, as you can see, still has a color card in it. I have removed the color cards that were for my September TBR in the books that I will show you, and they'll just go back in my box so they can come up at a later. But this one tells me that this book is on my fall TBR, and so hopefully I'll still get to this one. So I did not read this one. The next book prompt was Cinco de Mayo, and this was to read a book that was translated. For this one, my selection was A Story of 7 Lives, and I actually did read this one. This one was 439 pages. I gave this one 5 stars. It was very sweet. Just be cautious, because there is harm that comes to an animal via other animal or humans, whether intentional and unintentional. And then animal death is discussed in this, so it was hard to read at times, but it was good. And this was translated from Japanese. This was by Shirakawa Jin. And this is a manga series, and this is a bind-up of the whole series, so it's really not that long of a commitment. So it was very cute, and I love this. You also have loss of a loved one, or like a spouse, partner, and so there's a lot of grief in this book, but I enjoyed it. Okay. Now for my game, the color that I drew for that wasn't on the cover, so I had to separate it, and I chose, and I don't know what I did with the color card, but I chose Rotten Fruit by D.W. Cole. I gave this one 3 stars. It was 138 pages. It was weird, but I enjoyed it. It was a good weird. And this is a debut from this author, and so I look forward to see how the writing develops and stuff. And so it was interesting, and I actually rather enjoyed it. So, and that one was read. Next, Roar, predatory animal on the cover again. My option was Bait and Witch by Angela M. Sanders. I did not get to this book. The next prompt was Fresh, and this was to draw a TBR game. I drew out Kaylani's and went with her TBR Tarot from August, and so it was Kaylani Simply Me. And the following prompts are the ones that she got. Let's see, 10 of Moons, a new to you author. I chose Night Warriors by Graham Masterson. I did not get to this book. The Hanged Man was to read a romantic suspense. My pick was Whistleblower by Kay Cove. Did not read this one. You're starting to see a pattern. The Hierophant. This was to read a book with LGBT plus rep, but it had to be a romance. I read a book. So there is a book I read for that, but I did not slot it in for that prompt, but it could have worked. But the one I did pick for this particular one was A Dash of Salt and Pepper by Kosoko Jackson. Still really want to get this one ASAP, but this is the one I picked for that. But I did actually read a different LGBT romance that was male, and that was really cute. So let's see, and then then it was The 7 of Stars. This is to read a book with foil on the cover. My pick for that was Beautiful Betrayal by Lisa Renee Jones. I did not get to this one. The next prompt was 7 of Moons, which is to read a popular book. My pick was Jade City by Fonda Lee. I still did not get to this one. I will eventually, I just don't know when. And then it was 9 of Pentacles. This is to read a book with an illustrated spine. For this one, I went with 4 Charming Spells by Lynn Cahoon. So you can see the spine is illustrated there. I did read this one, gave it 5 stars. It was 286 pages. Absolutely love this series. Oh, highly, highly, highly recommend. The next prompt, this book is up in my room. I have 2 books on this TBR that are up in my room. And I'm not going to go get those right now because I actually broke my little toe. So it hurts to go up the stairs. So I'm not going upstairs right now. And it's on my left foot. So I have to wear a walking cast thing. The prompt was The Tower. This is to read a book with buildings on the cover. My pick was The Honey Witch by Sydney J. Shields. So I'll insert images here instead. I did not read this book. The next prompt was The World, and this is to read a big book. My selection was A Time of Courage by John Gwynne. Still did not get to this one. Kind of got into a little slump where it took me longer to read certain books than others, just because I wasn't in the mood to read. But so I ran out of time and did not get to that one. The next prompt was Death. This was to read a mafia romance. My pick was Stolen Air by Sophie Lark. Did not read this one. And then some of the colors I was not able to fit in for any of the prompts that fit the books, so I had to do 4 additional books. So the options were, this book I don't have anymore, and that's because my mom's dog, Georgie, chewed on it and destroyed the book. So I have a new copy coming that my mom has paid me for, but I can't read it. It is that destroyed. And that was Murder by the Book by Lauren Elliott. So yeah, the Georgie made it into a chew toy. And so I can't read it because it is that destroyed. The next book was Slash or Pass by Tyler Page. Did not read that one, and I did not read Murdered by the Book either. So the next one was Kilt Trip by Alexandra Kiley. Still did not get to that one. And then the last book for my September TBR that I had picked was Burn for Me by Ileana Andrews, and I had not read this one. So out of all of the prompts or books that I picked for my September TBR game, I only read 3. Nothing wrong with that. There are some books I wish I would have been able to get to, but it was also Suffer-a-thon. And I released a video each week for Suffer-a-thon with what my plans for the week were. And so a lot of the books did not fit certain prompts, and so I had to pull in a bunch of different books. So that's partly why I only did 3 books out of my TBR, was just because I didn't know what the prompts were going to be until they dropped in that week, which is fine, and that just kind of added a little bit more of the fun, increased the fun to Suffer-a-thon. But yeah, so I only completed 3 books from my September TBR. Perfectly fine, never any punishment for that. This next readathon I will tell you about, I only read 2 books for, and these were both ebooks. It was the Sweet Valley September, hosted by Kate from Mini Book Chats on YouTube. I will link her channel in the description box. And the goal was to read books written by or create the world created by Francine Pascal. So I read, and that was the Sweet Valley High. So it could be Sweet Valley High, Sweet Valley Twins, Sweet Valley University. I went with Sweet Valley High because I was able to get some ebook versions of that. I'm having a good time. I have ended up both of the books that I read for this, I only gave 3 stars to. But it's still a fun, quick read because they're less than 200 pages. That was like, I think the average was 170 pages between the 2, or 75 pages, something like 175. Anyway, I went with book number 1, which is Double Love, and number 2 is Secrets. The creator of the world is Francine Pascal, but one thing I learned is that the Sweet Valley High series, it says it's written by Kate William. Kate William is not a real person that wrote this book. Kate William is the name used that a bunch of people wrote under, and they are ghostwriters. So each book could have been written by a different author. Who knows? But at least the first 2 books were written by, I'm assuming, I don't know. I don't even know if the same person wrote the first 2 books or if it was different people. I just know it's ghostwriters because it was under Kate Williams. So, but it was fun to read that. It brought me back to a lot of nostalgic feelings and vibes, which was awesome. I love that. So I will be continuing on with this series and picking them up to try to fit into some different prompts as the time goes on, or just whenever I'm feeling in the mood to it. I don't even remember reading this series in the 90s. I remember seeing some TV show adaptations of Sweet Valley High, and I think Sweet Valley University, could be wrong on that. So it brought me some good memories. But I will say, from reading the books, between the two twins, Elizabeth and Jessica, I identify more with Elizabeth and just her seriousness and stuff. Jessica is someone I do remember wanting to be like, but after reading the book, Sweet Valley High, or The Double Love and the Secrets in the Sweet Valley High World, I don't like Jessica. She's very snotty. Yeah. Anyway, so those are the two books that I read for that readathon. All right, and the third TBR that I'm going to wrap up in this was for the phase out your TBR, which was phase 6, and that is to get a run of 9, and I did complete my run of 9. I actually read a lot more books than I needed to. So let me start off with the yellow prompts. I'm going to tell you what these prompts were, and I actually did not complete any of these yellow prompts. So number 1 was air on the cover. Number 2 was food or drink on the cover. 3 was an image on the spine. Number 4 was a big book. 5 is a one-word title. 6, a TBR vet. 7, no people on the cover. 8, finish a series. 9, multiple POVs. 10, an author you love. 11, an ugly cover. And number 12, space on the cover. I did read books that would fulfill these prompts, but I used them for other prompts. Okay, the next grouping is the blue prompts. There are, I just lost my place. Each color has 12 prompts. So out of the blue prompts, I'll tell you the ones I did not do first, and then I'll tell you the one out of the 12 that I did. So for the blue prompts, 1, people on the cover. 2, newest purchase. 3, a new to you author. 4, a middle grade. Skipping number 5 for now. Number 6 is dictionary word of the day. Number 7, favorite color on the cover. 8, book with a map. 9, BIPOC rep. 10, water on the cover. 11, favorite genre. And 12, odd page number. So I skipped number 5, and that's because I did read that one, and that was to read a book that I have low hopes for. This one I had low hopes for because it's horror short stories, and I tend to struggle with those. Sometimes I really like them. When I like them, I like them. And I either like them or I don't care for them. So I had low hopes for this one because it was a collection of short horror stories, and that's the only reason. But I actually really enjoyed this book. I ended up giving it a 4 stars, so I was very pleasantly surprised. 371 pages for Out There Screaming by Jordan Peele. The only story in this one that I did not care for was the very last one, and that is because it's in a format that I don't care for, evidently. You're literally reading like a play. And so there's no character development, there's no, not really a lot of descriptions or anything, so that one was the only one that I did not care for. Everything else was at a very high 3-star to a high 4-star as far as the stories go, so I ended up giving this one a 4-star. Absolutely loved this book. This was great. I really enjoyed this one. The next grouping I'm going to tell you about are the green prompts. So for this one, I actually completed most of the green prompts. The ones I did not do were number 1, the lowest rated. Number 9, a book with fire on the cover. And number 11, a young adult. So the prompts I did do, I'm going to keep doing what I have been doing. I'm just going to tell you the author and the book. I'm not going to go into any synopsis. So, prompt number 2 for the green prompts was a book with an animal on the cover. 4 charming spells by Lynn Cahoon. As you can see, there's a cat. Prompt number 3 was a book with a single POV or point of view. This one I did an ebook, and I read Compulsory by Martha Wells. This was like less than 10 pages. It was great. This was a prequel to the Murderbot Diaries, I believe is what it is. I gave this one 4 stars, and yeah, it was 8 pages. So I will be continuing on with this series. Number 4 was a book with an even page number. Another ebook, I read Secrets, Where the World Was Created by Francine Pascal, but this was written by a ghostwriter. I don't know who, but it was written under the pen name of Kate William. Number 5 was to read a book with LGBT plus rep. And for this one, I did Parasite by Mira Grant. 5 freaking stars, 502 pages. Love this book. And I have told my mom I want This is a book number 1 in a trilogy. I told my mom, because she asked me what I want for my birthday or Christmas, I said, I want the other 2 books in this series. So hopefully she'll get them. If she doesn't, I will be ordering them. So moving on, prompt number 6 was to start a series. I did an ebook called The Embers of Phoenix, written by A.J. Blackburn. I gave this one 4 stars, and it was 223 pages, and this was a werewolf why choose romance. It's a girl and 2 men, and there's a hint of something to come in the series, and I think I know what it is. Anyway, so it's a werewolf shifter romance. Number 7 is to read a hardcover. I went with Good Girl, Bad Blood by Holly Jackson. It is a hardcover. 4 stars. Didn't like it as much as the first book, but I still really had a good time. So 397 pages of funness. Prompt number 8 was to read a book that I had high hopes for, and this one I slotted in The Complete Sweet Cheese Home, or The Complete Cheese Sweet Home, part number 4 by Konami Kanada. 5 stars, 454 pages. I absolutely loved the first 2 volumes in this. I did read the 3rd book as well. I used that one for a different prompt, but I had high hopes for this one, and it did not let me down. It did not disappoint. I love this series. I will say I did cry at the end of something that could have happened. It made me very sad. Okay. And then number 10, so I skipped number 9. Number 10 was to read a book set outside of my country. For this one, I'm in the US, so I read Show Us Who You Are, which this one takes place in London. Yeah. I gave this one 5 stars. It was 283 pages, and it's a middle grade. And then the last one that I did for the green prompts, right? Yes, the green prompts is an anticipated read. I went with Rotten Fruit by D.W. Cole. 3 stars, 138 pages. It was good. I did like it. I was just confused a little bit, and I think that was my own thing because I did read it later at night, and so I was a little muddled anyway. So I think that was my fault. But Rotten Fruit, this was definitely anticipated, and I did have a good time. So far I have not, even though I've had a lot of books to tell you about in this, I have not had my run of 9, is it? Is that what it was? Yes, a run of 9. But this last grouping is the red prompts. There are 12 prompts, and I completed every single one of these 12 prompts. So pick whatever range of 1 to 9, and I got it. So let's just start with number 1, which is to continue a series. For this one, I read Black Butler, Volume 2. 4 stars. Didn't like it as much as the first book, but I still had a great time with it, and it was 177 pages, and I did order the 3rd one, so I will be continuing on with the series. Oh, and that is by Yana Toboso. Number 2, this is to read a book with disability or mental health rep. I went with Teacher of the Year by M.A. Wardle. This was very spicy, and this is a queer romance that is between 2 men. The mental health rep is anxiety and ADHD are talked about. So I gave this one 4 stars. It was 301 pages. It is book number 1 in the Teachers in Love series. I loved it so much, I did order the 2nd one, and I am looking forward to continuing this series. The 3rd book is out, and there's like 4 or 5 that are supposed to be in this series. I think, does it say it in this book or in the 2nd book? Oh, it does say in this book. There's 4 books in this series and 2 of them, the 3rd one was released in June of 2024. The 4th book is supposed to be released in February of 2025. If you like spicy male-male romance, I highly recommend this one. It was very sweet as well, and I just want to go find these characters in real life and give them huge hugs and tell them how great they are. Loved it. Okay, number 3 is a book with nature on the cover. I went with Story of 7 Lives. These are stray cats and trees. So there is nature on the cover because it's trees. So that's what I counted. Again, let's see. I gave this one 5 stars. It was 439 pages. Book with a pretty cover. For this one, I did an ebook, and it was Sleigh Bells and Slaughter, written by Alina Jacobs. It was 180 pages. I gave it 4 stars. Kind of I thought it was giving me cozy mystery vibes. However, this was spicy. So this is not a cozy mystery. It is just a mystery. And there was smut in it. There was some spicy sex in there. Okay? So definitely be aware. I was fooled and I was kind of shocked because I wasn't expecting it, which was fine. But I was just expecting something completely different as far as the genre. Anyway, it was still a mystery, but I was expecting cozy mystery, and it was not cozy mystery. Number 5 is to read a paperback. For this one, I went with A Kind of Spark by Elle McNoll. I give this one 5 stars, and it was 176 pages. Very sweet. Absolutely loved it. And part of the reason why I love this one, I will say, is there is talk of women being tried as witches and accused of being witches, and then being killed. And yeah, that fascinates me. I do want to learn more about that, but yeah. And this takes place in Scotland. Number 6 is to read a short book. I went with Double Love, Where the World is Created by Francine Pascal. 4 stars, 112 pages. And this was part of the Sweet Valley High collection. Number 7 is to read a book with 5 or more words in the title. For this one, I did The Complete Cheese Sweet Home, Part 3 by Konomi Kanada. The Complete Cheese Sweet Home. Five words, if I don't count Part 3. Otherwise, it'd be 6 for part. Anyway, love this book, love this series. 5 stars, 432 pages. Number 8 was to read a standalone. I read... I did an ebook. Bewitching the Vampire was a short story or a novella written by Carrie Pulkinen. 4 stars. It was 63 pages, and I thought it was pretty good. So, and it is a standalone. Number 9, a book you've been avoiding, and this one just because, as much as I loved it, I just will look at it and go, I'm not in the mood. I'm not in the mood. So I've been avoiding it because I haven't been in the mood. So I finally picked it up, and that is A Man and His Cat, volume number 2 by Umi Sakurai. Still, I've thoroughly enjoyed this one. I just wasn't in the mood for it before, and so I've been avoiding it because I wasn't in the mood. But I'm glad I finally continued on with it. So, thoroughly enjoyed it. And then, number 10 was to read a book that is one of the highest rated books that, it's just highest rated. So for this one, I read this one on September 14th, and this was actually a recent purchase. A Man and His Cat Volume 3 has a 4.56 as of September 14th. Now that may have changed since then, but I gave it 4 stars. It was 144 pages. Got a little more information about his backstory, and it was actually kind of sad. But I did not cry, but it did tug at the heartstrings. Number 11 was to read a book with a weapon on the cover. For this one, I went with Horror Hotel by Victoria Fulton and Faith McLaren. I need to pull this one up on Goodreads because I don't remember what the weapon, I think I remember what the weapon is, or that I'm classifying as a weapon. Now, whether or not you classify it, I still have gotten the run of 9 if you say no for this one. Oh, yes. Okay. So you'll have an image here. So there's 2 things that I would, well, the biggest thing that I classify is height. Height can be a weapon because if you push someone off of a cliff or off of a building or something from a great height, there's a very high chance that they will die when they hit. Very high chance. So I'm counting that as a weapon of choice. Yeah. So there's also a hand on the image, and your hands can be weapons because you can strangle people or beat them to death. So that's how I'm counting that. If you don't agree, fine, but I am counting it. But even if like Krys were to say no, this doesn't count, and they're the final say because they're the ones that created this, I still got my run of 9 by reading the first 10 prompts, fulfilling those ones in the red ones. So I'm good there. And then the last prompt for the red grouping was to read an adult book. I did an ebook, The Risk by S.T. Abbey. This was 130 pages. It is book 1 in the Mindfuck series. I was expecting something a little less or a little different. I was expecting a lot more smut and spice sex. You do get some smut and spicy sex in this, or explicit sex scenes. But the Mindfuck series, it's more about a serial killer, female vengeance, and she's basically fucking with people's minds to have her revenge. So I had a great time with that one, and I look forward to continuing that series. So those are it for those readathons. So for the Phase Out Your TBR, the one in honor of Francine Pascal, who is the creator of the Sweet Valley series or world, and my Catwalk TBR. So let me know if you've read any of these books or books from any of these authors. I did really well with the Phase 10 one. I'm very happy with how I did for that one. Let me know any of your thoughts. Talk to me in the comment section below. And until next time, stay true to yourself and enjoy a good book, and I will talk to you later.